Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special Republic Day edition of What You Don't See Matters podcast. We thought this would be a good opportunity for us to interact with an organization who really believes in building the nation. We have a very special guest with us today, Mr. Nikhil Murgude, Vice President Commercial, ASP Emerging Asia. Welcome, Nikhil, to our show. आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है.
Thanks, Nikunj. Excited to be here. And बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया ये करने के लिए. I'm slightly nervous, but also very excited to see. This is the first time we are doing something like this. So very, enthusiastic to be here. And thanks for having this.
Thank you, Nikhil. Before moving forward, while I was preparing for this interaction, I am very curious to know, why are we having these conversations now?
Yeah, sure. I would say the better question actually is, why not now? New Year. We just celebrated New Year. We had a good year, 2025. New Year, new beginning. And you said the topic of the podcast was how ASP was contributing and being committed to this nation. And if that's what we are talking about, then no better date than Republic Day, right? To bring that spirit out. For me, Republic Day is, when we start the new year, it brings that spirit out in the nation of togetherness, of celebrating something where we are bound by a unilateral thought together. Yes. So I don't I don't see which other period would be better than this. So we have done a lot in the past few years. And I'm very excited to talk about it. And I thought there cannot be a better opportunity to do it than now.
Thanks, Nikhil, for sharing that thought. When we hear this word, Republic Day, there is a sense of reflection that comes in all of us, right? When you hear Vande Mataram as a word, as an individual, what goes into your mind?
Frankly, it brings goosebumps to me. Okay, I have them right now. It brings a sense of pride. Okay, let me say it this way. I just reflect upon now this is personal, right?
Yes.
Where I reflect upon where we are as a nation. Okay. I'm here for a long time, and I have seen how this nation has evolved. And let me say this to you, I couldn't be more excited than being here right now. If, my daughter is 18 years old and I tell her this nation represents opportunities like it has never represented before. And so I feel a sense of pride. Now, yes, people can say there's a lot of things to do. There always will be. But the amount of progress that we have made in past few years has been so significant, and the pace has been so brilliant that if I cannot be proud right now of India, I don't know when I could be. Okay. And so, a tremendous sense of pride, tremendous sense of enthusiasm, a tremendous sense of like a childlike enthusiasm of seeing what next. Where are we going to go next? We are just crossing milestones day after day, year after year, and that unbridled sense of curiosity and enthusiasm. I think that's how I would describe it. And so, totally excited and very, very proud of this country and the fellow countrymen.
Good to hear that, Nikhil. And while you were talking, I could not stop myself but writing some of the words, like you mentioned, having a sense of pride.
Yeah.
The pace of progress that the country is witnessing.
Absolutely.
You are representing a particular, a segment called as healthcare segment, or in preference of the medtech segment.
Yes.
So how do you see yourself as into the nation building capacity? So when I say, what role does healthcare plays as an overall, building the overall nation?
Yeah. So, absolutely critical, right? I mean, in couple of words, healthcare industries and healthcare folks working in healthcare's contribution towards nation building cannot be overemphasized. Okay, I mean, they are such a critical part. I mean, I can give you so many examples, but let me start with something personal, right? Again, um, I and my family, and at that time, my daughter. This was a couple of years ago. My daughter was like fifth grade, and we were in Maklodganj, which is a beautiful uh, place in northeast of India, and she had a minor accident. Okay, nothing major. So, but she had an accident, and at that time, as parents, we were worried about it. This was very close to where um, you know uh, we have that monastery, which is a famous monastery in Maklodganj, and it's a hilly town, if you recall. And I was so worried as a parent here, and said, okay, where can I go to treat her now? And when people came around to look at what had happened to her, they suggested that I should go to the primary healthcare center, PHC. And I was thinking to myself, I'm from Bangalore, right? I have this city mentality kind of. And I was thinking to myself, oh wow, a primary healthcare center in this hilly town. I mean, that usual suspicions were running in my mind. Yes. But then, anyways, I went there. And I can tell you, Nikunj, I was so pleasantly surprised by what was in there. Completely professional service, all the basic amenities that you expect out of a PHC. Everything was done professionally. She was taken care of to an extent that we could be comforted as parents. And then eventually we took her to a bigger hospital, when the, the risk kind of subsided. My point in telling you all this example is that day I remember very clearly thinking to myself when I got out of that place, if this is what it is in a place like this, I mean, that's fabulous progress. So now that's a personal example in which a tourist like me was treated so properly. And by the way, just to tell you, what was the cost? Zero. It was free of cost, right? Because it's a government facility. Now, I have many examples which reflect the same sentiment, whether it was visiting a PHC during COVID, or I can give you so many examples. But the point is, we are a nation who doesn't want to survive. We want to thrive. Okay. And if healthcare is so good that it keeps people productive, it keeps people out of hospital and at work, it doesn't have, in my particular business, infection where the length of stay is less, the families are productive, right? And if you are a main bread earner of the family, and if, God forbid, you get sick, you don't want to be in the hospital for long. And if you have a great healthcare setup, then you are not in the hospital for long. You are back to work quickly. And that is what nation building is, right? So, and this is a small example. Now, if I take a macro example, very recently, our Honorable Prime Minister mentioned one thing, which is about, and it got a lot of traction online, about antimicrobial resistance, AMR. Yes, I heard. Yeah. Now think about the potential impact of it. If the healthcare ecosystem, whether it's hospitals, whether it is the NGOs, whether it is the vendors, whether it's the suppliers, only if they work together, they can solve it as an ecosystem, this problem. And solving it is a big deal, but maybe reduce the impact of what it could mean, right? Or delay the AMR stuff. Yeah, I mean, I would say healthcare is a silent healthcare players, silent contributors. We are not as raucous or as vocal as some other industries are, which are equally important in nation building. Steel, iron, they are nation builders too, but we are the silent contributors to this. So yeah, extremely important and critical to productivity and keeping the nation humming forward.
Thanks, Nikhil. Thanks for sharing that. Well, first of all, I would like to ask, like, is your daughter fine now?
Yeah, perfectly fine.
And the way you explained, I never imagined that a public primary healthcare setup
Yeah.
will give you goosebumps or will enable you to get that confidence that anyone and everyone can get a good treatment there.
Yeah.
And I believe almost every one of us will agree with the vision what our government is having, especially with the Honorable Prime Minister and the approach in the healthcare and the medtech segments. So yes, this is one of the important sectors which plays a very crucial role in the overall development of.
And I'll tell you something. I want to just mention a point. Not like I'm fortunate in many ways. So not a whole lot of people like me visit PHCs. But if you, again, God forbid, nothing should happen to anybody. But I encourage people to go there and see how much progress they have made. I have a mental image of a PHC when I visited, when I had a dog bite when I was a child, and versus now. It's like they say, a difference between earth and sky.
Lot has changed in the
Lot has changed. Yes.
Great. Not only healthcare industry, you also represents a very important organization, which is ASP, Advanced Sterilization Products, right?
Yes.
And I think the story, the way that you narrated your story, the experience that you brought today on the table, it very well goes with your mission statement of protecting patients during their most critical moment.
Yes.
So can you please elaborate on some insights about how this journey has overall been and what are your next steps here?
Absolutely. So look, first of all, I'm extremely proud to be associated with ASP. Okay. I'll explain. ASP are pioneers in technology. Our journey started, ASP globally has been around for a while, but I would say our journey started here in India about 4 decades ago, 4.5 decades ago, maybe. Let me give you a funny anecdote, right? When you were a kid, if your mom, dad, teacher, whoever asked you to do a photocopy, what would they say? Go Xerox.
Xerox.
Yeah. So like Xerox was, synonymous with photocopying, right? So similarly for us, in this industry, though at a smaller scale, right? Disinfection, Sidex was a product which was introduced about 4 decades ago. And for all the medical professionals in this space, disinfection means Sidex. So even if they are not using a ASP product, everybody calls it Sidex. Agar मैं हिंदी में बोलूँ तो Sidex में डुबा दो. Like they will say it like that. So it is so natural. So you can see how long we have been entrenched into this country, right? And you go anywhere, by the way. This is not north, south, east, west, tier 2, tier 3, anywhere. This is common. So yeah, we've been here for a while. About 25 years ago, about that, not completely sure about the dates, but about 24, 25 years ago, we introduced our Sterard. Sterard is our terminal sterilization product for instrument reprocessing. It's low temperature, and and that has been there since then. We have been there since then, and I'm very proud to say that we are associated with all the major hospitals, whether it is corporate hospitals, whether it's tertiary hospitals in government, whether it's district hospitals, now even private clinics and nursing homes, hospitals of small capacity. So we've been blessed with a lot of love from customers. To be honest, I lead the commercial side of ASP, and when I think of my salespeople, I think of them more than salespeople. I think of them like clinical consultants, right? So our CEO uses this word, which is absolutely bang on. We are trusted advisors. Okay, so with 25 years plus of association, we have built that trust with the customers. And when they talk to us, they come to us with problems that they face. We answer them, and we keep that on top of our mind when we do interactions with them. So from that point of view, serving customers, serving patients, we have been there for a long, long time, and the journey has been very fruitful and successful, and we feel proud and we feel blessed both. Okay. Now, the journey has taken a very significant upturn, I would say, and to the positive, I would say, since 2020, 21 post-COVID, okay, where we have made a lot of investments. Customers ke saath to hum the, right? But now we are here in a much more significant presence. You can see behind me that I am speaking to you from the India Design Center, where ASP made a lot of investments in. This is in Bangalore, in an engineering center, and very proud to also tell you, this is, by the way, fresh off the press, hot off the press, like they say. We have now started making like a manufacturing facility in Chennai, and we have received the manufacturing certificate from CDSEO to manufacture our steroid in Chennai. I would want to say that we probably are one of those major brands which has the MII certificate. Again, very aligned to the vision and the mission of what our government is driving to make this a knowledge hub, this country, and also make it a manufacturing hub. And not to forget, keep taking care of patients as always. So yeah, very long, dedicated, and very good journey to speak of.
Yes, I think it has been quite a long journey. Dedication, definitely, but it definitely requires a lot of passion for the people who are working in this particular, industry at a particular level in an organization. And the way, when I was listening to you, a lot of times you use the word patients. I think that really is now becoming a core part of the DNA of the people who are associated with this segment,
Right.
with this organization, right?
Right.
I've also noted down, you have mentioned, the legacy that you are carrying. So almost like the decades in the disinfection segments. You mentioned almost like 2+ decades in your, latest low temperature sterilization segments, right? One word that you mentioned, which is like a vision of your CEO, is all about being a trusted advisor of,
Yeah.
today's healthcare fraternities and communities.
Yes.
So it's way more, or I would say far beyond just selling the solutions or the products in the market and,
Yeah.
working from the commercial perspective, right?
Yes.
I am very curious to know, is there anything else that was a part of this journey? I mean, something which is far above the commitment, the solutions and offers. You said about IDC, you said about, opening your manufacturing site at Chennai. So does this all link to something called as Make in India initiative that the government says? A bit more insight on how you are aligning yourself for the coming days.
Yeah. So look, I mean, Make in India, IDC are specific examples. But let's zoom back a little bit, right? And let's take a step backwards. So think about, we all exist in a professional world to solve a problem. Agreed? Yes. So we are solving some problem.
Yes.
And every problem is important to be solved, right?
Yes.
So when we think about from that perspective, hospital-acquired infections are a problem to be solved. Okay. Across the world, right?
Yes.
And more so here, because obviously our population and everything is so high, plus our facilities are evolving, right? They are not like when you compare them to a Western world and so on and so forth. So there is a problem to be solved, and ASP has, like I said, solved it very successfully, I may add, in a lot of places, right? So you have a problem, we have a solution to solve a problem. So if we zoom out a little bit, so look, I mean, a company like ASP will always have a 5-year strategy, a 3-year strategy, a next 2026 strategy. But that's one side of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at a little bit of a broader perspective, you got to step and say, is there a problem to be solved? Yes. Can we do it successfully? Yes. Do we have the tools, wherewithal, and ammunition to do it? Yes. And are we going to do it together? Are we going to do it for all? Yes. So if you think like that, it makes total sense to be invested and committed to a country like India. Now, another aspect I would bring to you is, I spoke a lot about being 25 years into this field and all of that, right? Even after so much effort, I would say that at best we are at tier 1.5 levels. Right? Okay. So are we saying that our customers or our patients who are in tier 2 and tier 3 do not deserve this level of and standard of care, right?
They should.
They should, right? And that's what your aspiration should be. Our mission statement is protecting patients in their critical moments.
Mhm.
And that means all patients, okay? Not patients who are in tier 1 city.
Yes.
So if you wear that hat and if you say, do I have the capability to do that? Then you say, okay, we do. So when you put all this together, right, then it makes a tremendous logical sense and economical sense to be invested in India. And so with that in mind, we look where we could go. Now, no special points for guessing what's India's strength. Okay, we talked about patients being there. What's the second strength we have, right? We have immense amount of engineering talent, software talent. So that's when this concept of IDC came into it. And look, I mean, we probably should have done it earlier, I would say, but there I do stay. I mean, it's fine. It's better late than never. So we established an engineering design center where we hired a lot of software engineers, mechanical engineers, electrical, chemical engineers. All these guys bring a tremendous amount of value, not only in terms of the engineering talent, but in terms of that local market mindset to be faster and to design products in a way which is not only beneficial for India, but is also beneficial for the world, right? So then that's number 2. Number 3, 2017, when that that lion walked out, or 2016, I forget again, of Make in India.
Make in India.
Yeah, we thought, oh, what is this now, right? But that lion is roaring more and more as we go into the years, right? And so again, makes perfect sense to align on that. We see that opportunity. We see that we can make an impact. So then why not, right? And then you would agree with me, or anyone would agree with me who has been in business for long enough, that co-location of something like engineering and manufacturing, and where you are getting so much customer insights. Our customers are not easy, by the way. They challenge us to be better every day. So when they give us the feedback, and when the engineering is here, and when the manufacturing is here, when all those 3 come together, it is an amazing mixture of getting the insights and locally developing, passing those insights and getting it done. So yeah, I mean, yes, there is a 5-year strategy, there is a 3-year strategy, but like I'm describing to you, our thought process is a bit broader than that. Right.
Thanks, Nikhil, for sharing those insights. One word that repeatedly, hammered into my mind while listening to this is, and please do let me know if I'm thinking in the right direction or not. Are we talking about, as you said, protecting patients, not specific patients? So are we talking about, accessibility? And when I say accessibility, is it like making it accessible to each and every one of the country? Is it what our mission lies at the back of our head?
Yes, absolutely. I'll go one step further. Yeah, I mean, one word for what I said is accessibility, I guess. So we have to make this technology accessible to everybody. That means also in short forms, available and affordable, both. So if you go to a tier 2 city like, think about any tier 2 city, right? Latur in Maharashtra. I personally am from Belgaum. My mom, dad are from Belgaum. So if you think of Belgaum, I want my technology to be available there. I want my service to be available there. And I want the education that we bring along with our products on how to actually take care of the instruments and how to reprocess, how to ensure that the infection doesn't happen, to be available there. Now that is, in one word, accessibility. And then second word is actually making people aware that you need it. Okay, some folks with all the right intent are not even aware. And when they become aware, then it's natural that they gravitate towards us. So accessibility and awareness both are critical pillars of this.
Right. And I would like to take this opportunity to first of all congratulate you and the organization who is driving the mission, who is driving the vision of the country, which is like Make in India, creating manufacturing employment opportunities recognizing the talent pool beyond the conventional talent, especially in the manufacturing, the core. I heard about, different segments, like even the chemical and other segments, which is a core of your entire, portfolio and the future pipelines. So congratulations on Make in India. Congratulations on, coming up with a site here in the nation itself. So I'm sure that's a proud moment for everyone.
It's a very proud moment. And I do want to make sure that, audience knows this. Sterard, this year we will be starting the manufacturing in India. But our Sidex OPA, which are our, like the original disinfectants, we have manufactured them here for a long, long time in India. So we've been here, like I said, for long, but we have only deepened our roots now. So that's how I would characterize it.
A bit curious, Nikhil. I'm sure, as you rightly said, this is a long journey, right? It was something which was like, we didn't, came out just a few months back or something like that. During this entire journey of, bringing the manufacturing concept in this part of the world, what one specific challenge you faced and how did you overcome it?
Okay. So first of all, I would say it is not a challenge I faced. Okay. And I will even maybe I'll say it this way. When we think about any initiative, right? Okay. We think about how does it make sense in the long term? Okay. So if you ask me what specific challenge I faced, it was sitting with, by the way, I have to thank my leadership team, because without their help, this wouldn't have happened. So it was like sitting with them and convincing ourselves and saying, this makes sense, is probably the most challenging, or it's the toughest challenge, right? So I live in Bangalore, day in, day out, I see what's happening. So I will be more easily convinced than someone who's sitting in California or New York or some other part of the world, who probably understands it, but he doesn't feel it as much as I do. So getting our minds wrapped around the fact that it is a challenge, it is also an opportunity. And if we come and sit together and parse the small details out, then yes, that conviction in ourselves is probably the biggest step forward you have to take. Okay. And if you ask me about, that is internal. If you ask me about external challenges, I think we got a lot of help. And look, without naming names, I have to thank a lot of people. It is not me alone, or it's not the leadership team alone. There were other people, other companies who gave us advice. There were consultants, there were suppliers who gave us a lot of advice. In fact, there is one group of people who has done this before. Okay. They spoke to my leadership team and showed them how it was done before, what challenges they had faced. And so we did not face similar challenge. We were ready for it. We faced different challenges, but there was an ecosystem of people who was working together, or who we depended on to help us to build that conviction in ourselves. And that I think would be the biggest. Once you are convinced, execution was not a big challenge, I would say. It was, there are small issues here and there, always regulatory, quality, this, that, but nothing we can't solve once we are believing that we should be doing this.
Okay. I'm sure the solutions that you provide actually go to a hospital segment and, where the patient comes and gets treated. Any specific stakeholder you feel, if they raise their voice in this particular concept, the way you initially said about how the government have also started highlighting something you called as, AMR, right? So any specific stakeholders like you want to take this opportunity and say that this is the right time for them to step up and, create awareness around this entire concept of sterilization, so that apart from, accessibility, people start believing that it is required in all of their healthcare setups?
It's a very good question. Very big question too. Absolutely. Look, again, now I'm switching from this whole manufacturing engineering to more policy making. or regulatory kind of a thing. So organizations like, NABH
Mhm.
have been increasing the awareness of quality, and there are so many other organizations, whether they are government affiliated or they are professional associations of hospitals, um, who are day in and day out working to with vendors like us to increase awareness around this. They're already doing it. Okay, I would say that they should continue to do it, amplify their voice. Um, there is no My only recommendation to folks is there is no reason to believe that we cannot get it done in the way where the standard is equal to the world's best care, but still very much economical and affordable for our country.
Okay.
So we need to challenge ourselves to get there. Are we there? No, not yet. But we are. Yeah, the journey is on. So my point again is, if you are in a, a good city, in a good hospital, and if you are getting that standard of care, you should get it here, and you should get it at a position where you can afford it, without having to, you know, without it being debilitating to your economical condition. So if you have that sort of mission in mind, it can happen, but it requires a lot of effort. And so, yeah, I mean, we are on that journey
Right.
to make it happen.
Right. Thanks, Nikhil. And I would echo that, because it's a journey which cannot be, taken as an individual. It's a collective journey, and if the vision is big towards the nation, towards building the capabilities, bringing, the concepts, and also, as you said, equalizing the healthcare solutions, which I would say the developed parts have.
Yes.
So it's a big journey, and the journey has just started, right?
Yes.
One more question I have, and if you're okay to share,
Yeah.
from your organizational perspective, there are people who are, dedicating their heart and soul into manufacturing capabilities. Then there are people who are again going in and out on the ground and communicating about the benefits of the solutions that you are providing.
Yeah.
Is there any dedicated team which you have which is actually uplifting, I would say, the education or the current practices that these healthcare hospitals currently practice, that will help these bodies at the national level when they come and talk about it? There is some level of education that has already happened into their particular healthcare setup. So
Yeah.
is there a dedicated team, and what's your thought behind it? Should every organization who works in this sector dedicate some resources towards doing this, I would say, kind of education for this, or as a service kind of thing for healthcare setup?
Look, now this is where the company's strategy matters. Okay. Because now you're asking a specific question.
Yes.
Right? So I'm going to answer it specifically. I will go back to the original line which I said, we believe in being trusted advisor.
Yes.
Now, there could be other companies who may not agree with us and may not think that's the best way to do it, and more power to them. That's their way of thinking. But we as ASP, and I know there are some other world-class companies out there who totally believe in that approach. Now, when we say, we believe in a trusted advisor approach, so what does that mean, right? So that means we have actively developed a team which does nothing but education. Okay. Now, as a company, we can touch a few number of people, right? Like few thousand people, let's say, per year, through webinars, through courses, through audits, there are, I won't go into the tools, but there are many tools to touch hospital and educate. But we are constantly striving to see how we can scale. That's when professional associations are critical. So company like a supplier like us or a vendor like us, their education resources multiplied. I didn't say added. multiplied with a professional association's capabilities amplifies the impact which you can have in terms of education. I'll give a very beautiful example. I was actually attending an education session organized by someone else. Okay. And he went and said, "Oh, there are these many issues in infection control in our hospital." And he said, "There are 10 solutions which we can do." And then when he listed down the 10 solutions, literally 8 of them could be solved only by awareness. So they did not involve any element of addition of cost. The ninth and 10th element required some new product or an extra product or something different to be done. And it impacted cost. But by doing the first 8 just differently from what they were doing before, they could take down their problem down by almost 70%. Okay. So you can now understand the impact of education, right? Just by creating awareness of the right practices, a lot of problems can be solved. And we consider it you can call it duty or you can call it strategy. Works for me. We consider it our thing. And I may even say it is our differentiation. We like another set of words, deep and differentiated. We are deep, we are differentiated. So we tell people what they just don't know. And by doing this particular awareness, I have a team which just does that. And when I say my counterparts around the world have a team such that we do. Where we just create an immense sense of impact and belonging with our customers. That's why they trust us for so long.
I think that's the core essence of a trusted advisor, right?
Yes.
It cannot be for a short term.
And it cannot be developed in one day. Yeah, it is like your fixed deposit. It compounds and you have to make those investments day in, day out over time.
Right. So it's a strategy which is working in both the directions.
Exactly.
From the organization as well as from the mission of what we are thinking to build the nation.
Let me say it in simple words. We don't know to operate in any other way.
That's a bold statement.
Yes.
But that's how we live.
That's how we
in the organization. Yes. So to summarize, Nikhil, what will be your next step here? Again, I would say I have given you the congratulations of Make in India. You have a great team in place. You have a support from the entire organization, right? From the top leadership to the first line of the person who is there in the field, right? You have a dedicated, what you said, education team.
Yeah.
Very positive mindset in terms of when it comes to being a trusted advisor with the healthcare setups, the hospitals and different stakeholders there. But as a viewer, especially if I'm not into the healthcare, so what should I look forward to that ASP will give me in the upcoming, say, 5 years or something?
Yeah, absolutely. Good question. I know answers of some. I am trying to find answers of some. So our associations with customers will continue and will get deeper. Okay, that's a promise. This trusted advisor mindset will get better and better and better. Okay, so that's number one, right? So we'll make all the investments in that aspect. Okay, so there is almost no iota of doubt in my mind on that. Okay. Number two, we have just scratched the surface on manufacturing.
Yes.
Okay. As you can sense, we just started. We are going to come with new offerings, new products, and there are so many opportunities to make the technology better, faster, quicker. There's a lot of things going on in the world which I don't want to get into, but by having manufacturing here in India, we make sure that the supply chain is more accessible, available, and hopefully doesn't have disruptions. So strategically that's also a big piece, if you ask me. So there's a whole lot of work to be done in localization into the next levels, I would say.
Right.
And then this engineering design center, the sky is the limit. We can do so much more. It's just these guys are so phenomenal. The engineers here, they're so fast. They are quick and they are hungry, and so if we throw them more challenges, I'm sure they can rise up to the challenge and give us products, which is what our customers look for. And then one more thing I would probably touch base on. Again, we have not even dipped our feet into this, but there's a whole lot of wave of AI and stuff going on.
Yes.
And globally, we have made some moves in instrument tracking and so on and so forth, which we have not yet completely brought into India. Not yet completely. We have not yet started in India.
Right.
And that's a space for me, which is exciting and to look forward to as well. Again, we know that hospitals today want to save money so that they can reinvest in patient care.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of ways for us to bring them efficiency and productivity both, right? And to contribute to their bottom line and, elevate, to help them again.
Mm-hmm.
And we think we are preparing for that ground, but so a lot more to come. So very excited about that. And look, this is the first time we are doing this, like I said. So as and when we get updates, we can have more updates either from our global folks or from myself,
Right.
or from anybody else. So yeah, in summary, very excited. I wake up every morning thinking what next. Okay.
Yes.
For me personally, the world cannot be fast enough. Okay. So I want it to go faster in the development and all. I know, but yeah. So, but look, very positive, highly committed to India. If I have to summarize it in one simple line, I will say that we are not, I'll say that we are not fly-by-night operators. Okay?
Yes.
We are in India, for India, and if I may say, forever in India. So that's how I would characterize ASP and the association with India right now.
That's a great, catchphrase. In India, for India, forever in India, right? And I'm sure that the way you summarized, Nikhil, it would definitely, sow a lot of seeds of curiosity when this podcast goes out. You talked about AI and you talked about how we are thinking far ahead in terms of coming up with the better offerings especially for this part of the world, I would say. So all the best to the organization, all the best to you, your leadership, and the positive mindset that you are bringing.
Yeah.
And as promised, we definitely look forward to the next set of the episodes of this podcast.
And absolutely, I always say this is the first time we are doing it. Thanks for organizing. And to everybody who will listen into this, view this, or maybe view snippets of this even, do give us feedback on what always we can do better. And we have the DNA of continuous improvement, or Kaizen, like we call it in our company.
Right.
So we would be very curious about your comments and feedback. And yeah, as always, we'll try to improve upon it. So yeah, thank you. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. Thanks, Nikhil. And, definitely it was a worth of, the knowledge that we got today. And for the viewers who are listening right now and, having this recording, there's a small disclaimer that this entire series of podcast is created only to make you aware that what these players are doing in the market and how they are supporting the overall mission, the vision, and the growth of the honorable government of the country, right? And the day is not far enough when the other parts of the world will give our reference and will say that despite having a big population, how well we are taking care of our patients. So thank you again, Nikhil, and with that I would say 3 cheers for our country. Vande Mataram. And
Vande Mataram, and wish everybody a very happy Republic Day.
Happy Republic Day. Thank you.